I'm born and raised in Throckmorton, and pretty isolated actually. I mean, there's, like now less than 2,000 people live in 900 square miles here in this county. It's kind of a different mindset than a lot of places in Texas. This is Texas as far as I'm concerned.
It's a place where roads seem to disappear beyond the horizon. Just outside the town of Throckmorton, Joe Barrington says this is where you'll find the landscape that defines Texas. And along this roadway, it's also where you'll find the remnants left behind from someone's misfortune.
There's one up there that may work. It may be a little bit heavy, but I think it's got some nice wire on it. That's a nice shape right there. The way that comes to a point, all that frazzle. The way you know they're a good one is if they're thin. You don't want one off of a semi that's a big, thick, chunky tire tread. You want one that's off of somebody's little junky two-wheel trailer that blew off and just came out in a nice, long, thin piece. Got a few good ones, got a few, not real good ones.
Joe may be driving back into Throckmorton with a truckload of retreads, but what he's really hauling is nutrition to feed his insatiable appetite for the offbeat, the unexplained, the never been done before.
So what is this, Joe?
This is an armature for a raven. You can see his body here. He's looking back over his shoulder. This will be, when complete, it'll be what I call a three-dimensional drawing. This one's covered with the shredded tires off the highway. These are the steel belted tires, the cords out of them. And I like the rougher they are, the more frazzled the raven looks, the more natural it looks. It's one of those things that it looks good from a distance, but when you get up close, you realize it's tires.
That is so cool.
By now, Joe Barrington's created a flock of ravens and even a wild hog, all layered in highway hand-me-downs. But this comes as no surprise to us. You see, it's been more than 25 years since a tank of gas and an open mind brought us to this studio. Back then, his massive sculptures were just starting to gain attention. And in that quarter of a century, Joe's been using steel to bridge the gap between fantasy and fine art.
I built a lot of animals, a lot of Texas animals. I've always kind of had an affinity for anything from the creek, like catfish, garfish. Got several sculptures in Abilene, got the big buffalo skull at Frontier, Texas, got a stainless steel dove at the Hendricks Hospital, got the flamingo downtown, which is one of the earliest pieces I did, bull skull on South First, raven riding a comet in Boerne, Texas, pickup in the catfishes in Lampasas, Texas, and then at one of the public parks in Albuquerque, there's a figurative piece called Garbender. He's a redneck guy bending a garfish. Just finished a big 11-foot tall, 16-foot long stainless steel bulldog that went to Houston. And then the bull and bear sculpture at Texas Tech. The bear was fabricated out of bronze, the bull was fabricated out of stainless. We get them scattered out pretty good. I grew up in a welding shop, and I've got the first welding hood I had over there that I got when I was 2.5 years old. And I spent more time with Dad than I did at home or playing or whatever. My playing was in the welding shop.
And from the looks of it, Joe Barrington never stopped playing. Of all the absolutes in nature, what's often overlooked is that iron, from the second it's removed from the soil, desperately fights to return to where it came from. Some call it rust, but Joe calls it a living, breathing process. Even if this sculptor is in the studio or out on the back roads looking for raven feathers, Joe's legacy may be found in the fact that He's the one man who's given iron a personality that is indeed bigger than life.